until 5 a.m. on Monday morning to watch the Three Lions take on Mexico.
But what about the school kids and the breakfast TV presenters? Should they get time off school to watch it too? England boss Thomas Tuchel thinks so.
Write an excuse for school and let them watch football. Come on, there's so much school to go to, but World Cup is every 4 years.
Country. Now they're pointing, as you say, to a provision in the 1971 Immigration Act, but the government, Parliament, can change the law, and the Parliament should change the law.
MPs demand an immediate law change to deport a convicted Pakistani child rapist who now walks free in Rochdale.
The great exodus, do you get it? The Culture Secretary, Lisa Nandy, pulls off at her department off Twitter, accusing it of favouring abuse and misinformation.
The current arrangements that will allow more asylum seekers over the next few days has been put on hold. The asylum seekers that were already in place have now been relocated.
The Home Office halts plans to house more asylum seekers on a housing estate in Shropshire dubbed Migrant Street.
About time too. Now, today marks the 50th anniversary of the Israeli raid on Entebbe airport, when Israeli commandos launched a daring mission, there you see on screen now, to rescue over 100 hostages after the plane was hijacked by pro-Palestinian terrorists.
And fit to shop. The NHS will give shopping vouchers to anyone who walks 20 minutes a day. A waste of money?
We'd love to hear what you think, of course. Send us your views and post your comments by going to gbnews.com/your say. What do you think? Should Andy Burnham, frankly, be more open about his plans? I mean, I was outside the radio studio last night trying to ask him, are you ready for government? The obvious question to anybody who wants to be Prime Minister, and of course he said he gave a good speech on Monday, but I think, frankly, it's really poor. We know so little about what our Prime Minister will be doing 2 weeks on Monday.
Because had he been in the Cabinet for the last few years, or even in Parliament for the last few years, we would have an idea of what he thinks about national issues, because he would have made speeches, he would have taken part in decisions, he would have done lots of interviews with people like yourself.
And we're annoying, but we ask questions about
but because he's been focused locally on the Manchester mayoralty, rightly so, that's where he's been elected to, we have no idea what he thinks about these big national issues. He's only there because 30,000 people or so in Makerfield voted him in. That is his entire legitimacy. Even the Tory party, when they changed leaders, although sometimes it was done without a vote of members, when it was done formally, we had Boris Johnson versus Jeremy Hunt, 16 meetings around the country with members, and we covered it as journalists. When it was Rishi Sunak against Liz Truss, 12 hustings around the country. We had an idea of what was coming. We have no idea what's coming, really. No. Well, Andy Burnham, if you're watching, you can send your economic manifesto to gbnews.com/your say, and we'll give it a fair hearing.
And we will discuss it, we promise. But first, here's the news with our great friend Sam Francis.
Very good morning to you. Leading the news today, 8 people have been arrested in the UK after investigations into online networks which encourage men to drug and rape women. The National Crime Agency says it has identified 270 people linked to forums where footage of coordinated sexual abuse is shared. A cast member from Channel 4's Married at First Sight UK has been arrested on suspicion of rape. That's after a BBC Panorama investigation into the show. The Metropolitan Police says the man has been bailed while inquiries continue. Also this morning, Andy Burnham has said he would take his responsibilities to fund Britain's defence plan extremely seriously if he becomes Prime Minister. The plan gives defence a £15 billion boost, but leaves the next Prime Minister with a £4.7 billion funding gap. The FA is reviewing security around England's team hotel in Mexico City before their World Cup tie against Mexico. It comes after Ecuador's players endured a sleepless night when dozens of fans gathered outside their hotel before their own knockout match. A man has been rescued alive after spending 8 days trapped under rubble following twin earthquakes in Venezuela. Emergency crews freed the man from beneath 140 tons of debris in what rescuers called an extremely complex operation. And here, the NHS will offer rewards to people who walk around 30 minutes a day under a new Marathon a Month challenge. The scheme will launch in England next year, with people logging walks online or through a phone or smartwatch. Those are the top stories this hour. A full roundup of all the news at 10.
Tune in to GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player, on Nation Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Hello, good morning and welcome. You're watching and listening to Britain's Newsroom. We're live across the United Kingdom on GB News with Christopher Hope and Miriam Cates.
That's right. Incoming Prime Minister Andy Burnham has revealed, sort of, his master plan to save pubs and high streets.
Well, he's considering hiking business rates on the giant warehouses for online retail companies like Amazon, while lifting high street shops and pubs out of having to pay business rates at all.
He spoke to reporters, including me, yesterday as he went into a radio interview. He seemed happy with the public reaction he's had so far. Take a listen.
I'm excited, actually, is what I am, by the reaction that I've had to the speech that I made earlier this week. Yeah. It's been really positive. I did set out quite a big plan for change. Yeah. Feels like the country says, yeah, OK, this feels like the right thing to do, the right direction. That's certainly the reaction I've felt I've had.
So, Chris, we've had no big manifesto, no big speech, but we've had these kind of tidbits of economic insight from Andy Burnham, some of it to do with nationalising utilities, but then this latest idea about raising taxes on the big tech companies, on their warehouses, and pulling local business out of tax. Good idea?
Well, a good idea to support the high street. I think we're seeing business rates are crippling small shops. We're seeing all sorts of well-known shops closing. Amazon would say they pay lots of tax through national insurance. They're a big employer. Yes, they pay, it seems, less corporation tax than other companies, but they pay tax in a different way. So it's never quite that easy. You squeeze one, like it's a balloon, you squeeze one part of the balloon and something else pushes out. So it's an idea. My objection to the new Prime Minister is we don't really know enough about him. He hasn't given a maiden speech in the House of Commons. When you're an MP, Miriam, the maiden speech is a big moment and you talk about what your priority is as an MP. Yeah. We've had a speech last Monday in Manchester. He wouldn't take questions there either. The lack of scrutiny is alarming and worrying.
Of course, we understand that he wanted a much longer period of preparation. He did not want the leadership election or non-election to take place this quickly. Understand why, perhaps, to have the summer to prepare his case. Well, he hasn't had that luxury. He's making it up on the fly.
Embarrassing stand. Al Khan's may still stand against him. There may be still a contest to run through August, but no one thinks there is. And I think it's going to be
a crowning. Coronation.
People say there wasn't enough scrutiny of Labour ahead of the last manifesto when we weren't asking the right questions then. Well, this time we can't ask any questions, and that isn't great for democracy. It
isn't indeed. Well, somebody who is willing to answer questions and give us his thoughts is the former Cabinet Office... the former Cabinet Office Chief Economist, Jonathan Portes. Jonathan, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. It's interesting, isn't it, how Labour MPs were so desperate for Andy Burnham to replace Keir Starmer, who, of course, has become deeply unpopular, and yet neither they nor we really know what his plan is, certainly in economic terms. Do you have any of an idea what Andy Burnham stands for?
Well, I think, first of all, of course, perhaps he would have liked a longer transition, but I think that, frankly, would have been pretty disastrous because it's pretty clear that Keir Starmer is a lame duck and that really decisions that need to be taken within Whitehall aren't being taken because, understandably, no one knows what Andy Burnham thinks. So I think, while it is messy, frankly, the quicker that this all happens, the better. Second, I think that the point is we do know what Andy Burnham thinks on some big issues, but not others. We know, for example, that his central driving motivation, the key idea that ran through his theme was localism and devolution, taking power away from Westminster and Whitehall and giving it to cities like Manchester, but also presumably not just Manchester, Liverpool, Leeds, but also other places, whether that's Yorkshire or Surrey or wherever. So that is a really big idea. It's also a really difficult one because we've talked about meaningful devolution in this country for the last 25 years at least. across the political spectrum. Michael Heseltine, for example, was a great proponent for the Conservatives, but we've never actually delivered it. And you need an incredible amount of political will and force to drive it through, given the forces that bring that power back to Westminster and Whitehall. So I do think there is a driving theme there. It's just really hard to do.
But did you worry that you're filling in the blanks for him, Jonathan Portes? I mean, you've got great ideas. You're a very experienced economist, well respected in this whole area, this whole sector. But we don't know what he thinks. And we're almost drawing onto a whiteboard with what he should be doing.
Well, as I said, I think, he made some things clear. So he said, so on something there's going to be continuity, right? He's sticking to the manifesto. What does that mean? It means not tinkering with the big rates of tax. And it means sticking with the current red lines on Europe, that is not returning to the single market of the customs union. So that's some big continuity on some pretty big issues. You may agree or disagree. I personally sort of disagree. Or that, I think at least after the next election, they should look to change that. But I think it's understandably saying, look, I haven't been elected on my own manifesto. I'm going to stick with the one that the Labour Party was elected on. On other things, I think, as I say, on devolving power, that is a real big political and economic project. It's going to take years, maybe decades. Of course, you don't expect the detail now, but he's made the direction of travel very clear. And I think that what we really should be asking him is, well, what do you really mean? Are you really going to tell the Treasury that they don't have the right to tell local areas what council tax they can set? Are you going to tell local areas that when they allow houses to be built or developments to go up and tax revenue increases, that they can keep that money instead of it going to the Treasury as it happens now? Those are big choices and big questions. And I think those are the sort of things we should be asking Andy Burnham. He does have the flexibility. He's made the direction of travel clear, but you have to be prepared to annoy some people, to override some vested interests, and to essentially say to some areas, you're going to win from this, you're going to lose.
Jonathan, one of the things that Andy Burnham has been criticised for is his comments on the markets. He famously said, although I think he was misquoted, that we shouldn't be in hock to the bond markets. But of course, we are so indebted as a country. We're paying so much interest that, frankly, any Prime Minister is going to be constrained by those who are lending to us. Do you think Andy Burnham has enough headroom to make any changes at all?
I think that for the reasons you set out, you are constrained by the bond markets. He does not have wiggle room to hugely increase borrowing. That is quite clear. We cannot, if he were to suddenly say, actually, I'm going to ditch the fiscal rules, we're just going to borrow a lot more money because there are all these things I want to do, that would be crazy. And there's no sign whatsoever that he's going to do that. In fact, he said very clearly that he's not. And I'm pretty sure that he's serious about that, because if he wasn't, it would be a disaster. We'd be back to the Liz Truss fiasco. That's what she did. And of course, it was a complete disaster. So he's not going to repeat that mistake. That does mean, so that means, doesn't mean government can't do anything, but it means you have to operate within those constraints. It means that, for example, if you want to spend more on defense, you have to work out what you're going to spend on less on elsewhere. It means that if you're going to, for example, as I imagine the government will want to, help people with energy bills this winter, you need to work out, are you going to put up taxes?
John, before you go, can I ask one question? Do you think he can get away with his plan announced so far in the speech on Monday and elsewhere without having a general election? Can he stay within the tramlines of the manifesto from July 2024?
I think he can. It constrains him from doing some things which you might think are good ideas, but it's certainly possible to stay within it. It just means your room for maneuver is more limited, and you have to be more clever and more imaginative, and that's the challenge that faces him.
OK, Jonathan Portes, thank you for joining us today. Thank you.
Well, still ahead on Britain's Newsroom, it's a Mexican wave for England fans, as pubs are allowed to open until 5 a.m. on Monday morning so that they can watch the next England match.
Up next, today marks the 50th anniversary of the raid on Entebbe airport, when Israeli commandos launched a daring mission to rescue more than 100 Israeli hostages after a plane was hijacked by pro-Palestinian terrorists.
But first, if you're in search of some holiday sun, here's the forecast for our top European destinations.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
Plenty of fine weather across Europe at the moment, but Greece is reasonably showery, unusual for the time of year, and a strong breeze affecting the south of Italy. Less breezy for Madeira and the Canary Islands compared with the last few days. Iberia, plenty of hot sunshine and particularly hot through Portugal, mid to high 30s, and mid 30s expected through Italy, but a keen breeze will affect the south of the country, while showers continue for southern parts of Greece.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
The final preparations before a world first. At RAF Wittering in Cambridgeshire, these JCB mechanics and engineers are attempting to rewrite history, chasing a world land speed record with a hydrogen car. The JCB Hydromax puts out 1,600 horsepower, powered entirely by two hydrogen-fuelled internal combustion engines. The 32-foot-long vehicle is trying to beat JCB's existing record, which was achieved with a diesel engine back in 2006. It reached a speed of over 350 miles an hour. For chairman of JCB Lord Bamford, the new car is about pushing the boundaries of new technology.
GB News, the People's Channel. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Father's Day has long been a fixture in the family calendar. But as household budgets remain under pressure, some are questioning whether the tradition of buying gifts is beginning to fade. Jim Cox has worked in the gift-giving industry for more than 30 years and says Father's Day simply isn't the draw it once was.
We're kind of reliant on the big gifting period. Father's Day is probably the weakest of like the bigger gifting events. It's picked up a bit this week, but probably not as much as I would expect. And I think generally people, like average basket size isn't really where I'd want it either. So I think people are spending a bit less, being a bit careful, and also thinking general trend in gifting is thinking maybe about experiences and spending time with people.
GB News, the People's Channel. GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
What does it do for people who are wounded, injured or sick veterans? What does it do for them to do this sort of voyage on this wonderful sailing ship?
Good morning. It is that human impact, and that's why Turn to Starboard exists, and even at the Invictus Games Birmingham 2027. It's about giving people maybe a reset, maybe seeing, taking that breath, but also a bit of camaraderie as well. Literally everybody's in the same boat. The blue environment is completely different. Everything is different on a boat. Walking, sitting down, making a cup of tea, even going to the loo is slightly different. So we can give people a break from sort of the pressures of life.
GB News, the People's Channel.
OK, it's coming up to 10 to 10. This is, of course, Britain's Newsroom with me, Christopher Hope, and the brilliant Miriam Cates.
Thanks very much. Well, today marks the 50th anniversary of Operation Thunderbolt, when Israeli commandos rescued over 100 hostages from Entebbe airport in Uganda. This was after Palestinian terrorists had hijacked a plane.
It was a massive deal at the time. The week-long crisis dominated international headlines as the world waited to see whether Israel would give in to terrorist demands or allow the hostages to be killed.
Well, in the end, a daring raid by the IDF caught the attackers by surprise, saved the hostages and changed the face of international terrorism.
We're joined now by Oded Alam, the former head of counter-terrorism at Mossad. Great to see you, Mr. Alem. What a time. I mean, we need to remind viewers and listeners today what it was like then. Just describe the impact of this crisis and how Israel responded to it.
First of all, thank you for having me. You know, I served 24 years in the Mossad, but in 1976, I wasn't there yet. I'm not that old. But when I joined the Mossad, I can say that Entebbe wasn't just another operation. It was a masterclass of spy and espionage, facilitating to the top level that actually changed the rules of the game. And why it was so significant and why it was so important, because we have to remember in 1976, only started the phenomena of international terrorism becoming such a global phenomenon. And the terrorists believed at that time that if they hijack a plane and fly far enough, Israel will not be able to reach it. And so in that sense, the operation send a very clear, loud message to terrorists all around the world that Israel hand will be able to reach you wherever you are. And I think, in a way, it changed the perspective and the thinking of all the intelligence services around the world that studied this operation, which, as I said before, it's a masterclass of operations.
And of course, this raid was planned in just 48 hours. The IDF was not given long at all to come up with the plan and to rehearse it. You talk about the role of intelligence. There was quite a lot of intelligence gleaned from the non-Israeli passengers who'd been released earlier. What kind of things were they able to tell Mossad that enabled the raid to take place?
In intelligence, the operation is almost like a theater play. When the audience come to the play, they see about an hour and a half of a play, but they don't realize the amount of hours that were invested in the rehearsal. And this is the same thing applies for intelligence. The Mossad used all his capabilities in order to facilitate an overall picture of a precise picture that will allow the IDF to know the exact place they are holding the hostages, the rooms are locked, unlocked, what kinds of weapons they are using, and so on. And the main thing to elicit this information came from few sources. First of all, as you said rightly, is in interrogating the released hostages. But it's not just that. The Mossad had sent people on the ground, undercover, into the airport itself in order to understand and provide a clear picture. Because if you don't do that, that can end in this complete disaster. Also, the Mossad managed to gain the architecture and the drawings of the buildings, and also the Mossad has sent a light aircraft hovering above the airport just half a day before in order to photo and to picture. And the one thing the Mossad had provided is that Idi Amin used this Mercedes, black Mercedes, as a vehicle, and so the Mossad used that also as a vehicle. The only thing that the Mossad was missing, that he stopped using this vehicle about a week before, and so we are happy that the terrorist wasn't a car enthusiast, and so are the Ugandan guards.
Wow, it is extraordinary. And looking at the scale of it, I mean, flying 2,500 miles to do it without any US support, all on Israel's watch. I mean, to me, looking back now, 50 years on, it seems to me this was the birth of Israel thinking we can do this alone. And of course, it has had an impact on modern day Israeli politics, hasn't it? Because there's only one hostage who died in this extraordinary mission, and that was the brother, soldier, and that was the brother of the present head of Israel, Netanyahu.
Absolutely. I think it is it's shaped the perspective not only for Israel of combating terrorists and applying for their demands. It shaped the whole world's perspective, how to face terrorism and how to deal with that. Because until 1976, we have to remember, government were complying with terrorists. They were giving them ransom, they were giving their demands and so on. And so this was a turning point in a way how to combat terrorism, especially international terrorism. And I have to say another thing, it was also some sort of a moral victory, because two of the kidnappers, two of the terrorists were German, and they separated the Israelis and the Jews from the rest. And so for many Israelis, it was almost reviving the Holocaust experience. In that sense, it was a very, very huge moral victory.
Wow, fascinating stuff. Thank you very much, Oded Elam, former head of counterterrorism at Mossad. Really appreciate you joining us this morning. Fascinating.
What an extraordinary story. And imagine if that happened nowadays, in the current media environment.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Absolutely incredible. Amazing mission, especially as they didn't have the kind of satellite vision that we had today. A lot less of technology.
OK, but still ahead, changing tack now. Has justice finally been served? A pair of teenage rapists who were spared jail have been given 4 years detention. This is Britain's Newsroom, Britain's favourite morning show on GB News, with Christopher Hope and the brilliant Miriam Cates.
Thank you, Britain, for the thousands of you who are becoming friends of GB News every week.
You're not only watching and listening to our programmes, you're becoming part of them too.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A1M northbound in Leeds is slow due to a collision and closed between junctions 26 and 25 near Wakefield, causing delays on the A63 and M62. It's also closed between junctions 42 and 43 near Barnsley and remains shut near Doncaster. The A5 southbound in Northamptonshire is closed after the A422. In Slough, the M4 is partially blocked by a stranded vehicle. In Scotland, the A78 northbound Barrowsey, off-slip to the A759, is closed until 6 a.m. tomorrow. And on the trains, cross-country and Great Northern services face major disruption through Cambridge. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
It's a Great British Giveaway Golden Summer Celebration. Your chance to win 2 fantastic prizes. There's an incredible £60,000 in tax-free cash. Plus, you'll also get your hands on a fine gold bar worth over £5,000. For a chance to win £60,000 in tax-free cash and a real gold bar, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry starts at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
At the stroke of midnight, the news doesn't stop, and neither do we.
Day in, day out. Forget stuffy late night TV shows. We're giving you a front row ticket to the centre of the political universe.
Because breaking news doesn't wait for the morning.
And neither do we. Join us for one of the most controversial and volatile times of politics in human history.
A very big story.
Big story over here.
You won't get this anywhere else. The Late Show live at midnight, every night.
Only on GB News.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
OK, it's 10 a.m. on Friday the 3rd of July. Live across the UK, this is Britain's Newsroom with me, Christopher Hope, and Miriam Cates.
Well, does Burnham have a business plan? The Prime Minister in waiting reveals his blueprint to save our high streets.
I did set out quite a big plan for change. Feels like the country says, yeah, OK, this feels like the right thing to do, the right direction. That's certainly the direction I've felt I've had.
Yes, it seems the incoming Prime Minister is already looking for loopholes in the 2024 manifesto, saying that there is wriggle room on tax. What does that mean for us? Find out more with me very soon.
We're making sure that pubs can stay open on Monday morning, early on Monday morning, for the England game. So I know lots of people are making their plans.
Yes, it's Mextra time. Do you get it? Mextra time for England fans, as pubs are allowed to stay open until 5 a.m. on Monday morning to watch the Three Lions take on Mexico.
But what about the school kids? Should they be given time off school to watch it too? Christopher Hope's on breakfast on Monday morning. I think he should stay up all night.
I will do.
Write an excuse for school and let them watch football. Come on, there's so much school to go to, but World Cup is every 4 years.
Country. Now they're pointing, as you say, to a provision in the 1971 Immigration Act, but the government, Parliament, can change the law, and the Parliament should change the law.
That's right, MPs demanding an immediate law change to deport a convicted Pakistani child rapist who now walks free in Rochdale.
And the great exodus. Culture Secretary Lisa Nandy pulls her department off Twitter, accusing it of favouring abuse and misinformation.
Fit to shop, the NHS will give shopping vouchers to anyone who walks 20 minutes a day. Well, that's like me. What a waste of money, maybe.
There's a really interesting interview, Chris, with the former Mossad agent about the intelligence that enabled the Israelis to raid Entebbe airport 50 years ago.
Yeah.
It was an extraordinary operation, hugely risky. If Idi Amin's troops had swarmed the building, they probably would have taken out all the Israelis, and it would have been a very different end.
And it's the birth of, or it's the origin story, I think, of modern-day Israel, allowing Israel to punch out from its crouch in the mid-70s and assert itself on its own without America's support. You have to admire that. It is impressive. Imagine it happening in today's 24-hour Twitter culture. I mean, imagine watching that play out, the pressure. And I think also the pressure from families and of those who were hostage. We see that echoed, didn't we, after the attacks?
On October the 7th, that's right. And we have got some footage to show you, actually, in about half an hour of some of the things leading up to the raid, including riots in Tel Aviv of the friends and families of the hostages who were desperate for the government to negotiate with the terrorists and give in. Of course, thank goodness they didn't, because it stopped those kind of hijackings.
And 50 years on, the PM of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, he responded against those hostages, of course, with the Palestinians. And back then, the only soldier who died in the Entebbe raid was the brother of Benjamin Netanyahu. So in many ways, this is the origin story of why Israel is what it's doing now.
And there have been massive celebrations and commemorations in Israel over the last week. Like you say, absolutely huge for Israeli pride. And I didn't realise until researching this that until the 1970s, there were about 5 plane hijackings a month. It was hugely risky to travel by plane anywhere in the Middle East. And this ended all that. So a big service to the world as well as Israel.
Extraordinary times. I think, we can always learn so much from history. Notably that story.
Absolutely, I agree. Well, let us know what you think. gbnews.com/your say. But first of all, here's your news with Sam Francis.
Chris, Miriam, thank you, and good morning to you. Just coming up to 5 minutes past 10. 8 people have been arrested in the UK after investigations into online networks which encourage men to drug and rape women. The National Crime Agency says it has identified 270 people linked to forums where footage of coordinated sexual abuse is shared. It says the abuse is often carried out by a long-term partner and can continue for decades. 14 investigations are now underway and 8 victims have been identified and supported. The Crown Prosecution Service says the abuse is among the most horrifying it has seen. A cast member from Married at First Sight UK, one of Channel 4's biggest reality shows, has been arrested on suspicion of rape. It comes after a Panorama investigation raised serious questions about contestant welfare, including rape allegations from 2 female cast members and a separate allegation of non-consensual sex acts. The men involved have denied all allegations against them. Channel 4 has also commissioned a review into contributor welfare on the show. Also this morning, Andy Burnham has said he would take his responsibilities to fund Britain's defence plan extremely seriously if he becomes the next Prime Minister. That defence investment plan gives the armed forces a £15 billion boost, but it also leaves the next Prime Minister with more than £4 billion still to find. Mr Burnham told reporters he had not seen all the details before the plan was published, but he insists there will be no compromise on the security of the nation. The Football Association is reviewing security around England's team hotel in Mexico City before their World Cup tie against Mexico. It comes after Ecuador's federation complained to FIFA. Dozens of Mexico fans gathered outside their hotel before their defeat in the capital. They used horns, loudspeakers and motorcycle engines to make noise into the early hours. The FA says it's already got tight security arrangements in place, but could change them if new information emerges. England fans will be heavily outnumbered, with the FA given only 3,000 official tickets in a stadium of more than 83,000. In Venezuela, a man has been rescued alive after spending 8 days trapped under rubble there following twin earthquakes in the country. Emergency crews freed Hernan Gil from beneath 140 tons of debris. He'd been working as a security guard in a small concrete booth when the building collapsed around him. Rescuers first heard faint cries for help on Sunday and then worked for days to reach him. More than 2,500 people are known to have died in the earthquakes and tens of thousands are still missing. Well, next, just a breaking update on the international manhunt for the suspect in the bomb attack in Monaco that seriously injured 3 people. An international arrest warrant has now been issued, and it's also understood that the suspect is a woman who has now been spotted in Germany. The explosion happened after a package was left in the entrance hall of an apartment building near the border with France. Local reports say the attack targeted a sanctioned Ukrainian multimillionaire, his partner and his son, but Monaco has not confirmed the victims' identities. Authorities there are investigating the blast as attempted murder. Here, the NHS will offer awards to people who walk around 30 minutes a day under a new Marathon a Month challenge. Those who complete the challenge every day will walk around 26 miles a month. That's the distance of a marathon. Users will be able to log their walks online through their phone or smartwatch. The health service says rewards could include incentives and discounts. The campaign is part of the 10-year health plan for England and aims to see more than 100,000 people sign up. And Taylor Swift fans have descended on Madison Square Garden as rumours are swirling over her possible wedding celebrations with Travis Kelce. High-profile guests were spotted arriving in New York, with black SUVs seen dropping guests under a white canopy outside that venue. Reports suggest around 100 people were expected at yesterday's event, with a much larger celebration potentially planned today. Neither Swift, though, or Kelce have publicly confirmed the nature of that event. That is the news on GB News. More still to come with Chris and Miriam. First, though, let's look at the markets.
Taking the ups and downs in our stride. Stilts Home Lifts sponsors the GB News Finance Report.
Well, it's just coming up to 10 minutes past 10 for you, the markets. The pound will buy $1.3361 and €1.1664 euros. The price of gold is at £3,130 per ounce, and the FTSE 100's currently trading 10,654 points.
GB News Finance Report, brought to you by Stilts Home Lifts.
Hello, good morning and welcome. You're watching and listening to Britain's Newsroom. We're live across the United Kingdom on GB News with Christopher Hope and Miriam Cates.
We want to hear what you think about the show so far. Send us your views and post your comments by going to gbnews.com/your say.
Yeah, lots of people getting in touch. Chris, as Simone says, and she's not interested in Andy Burnham's plans for pubs and high streets. She wants to know his plans to stop illegal immigrants coming here.
Well, Simone, we also want to know the same questions, and we are trying to ask him questions. We went to Manchester on Monday, wouldn't take questions. I was with him last night, went to a radio interview. He took one question then. We are not getting the chance to ask our future Prime Minister anything really properly, and that is frustrating.
Yeah, and Jackie says Burnham will not be staying within any spending plan if he wants to go ahead with his mad idea to move Parliament to the north. Yes, that would be quite expensive, won't it?
Well, we asked that, didn't we? What he must do is stay within the tram lines of the manifesto in 2024. The problem is, it's not his manifesto. He wasn't an MP or a candidate then, so why should he? And if he goes outside those tram lines, he should really morally call an election, but doesn't have to, because we don't have a written constitution.
No,
it's frustrating.
a very strange system, isn't it? And Carol says Andy Burnham will answer questions, but pick and choose which ones. Well, he won't have that opportunity soon because Prime Minister's question time, he will be put on the spot.
He won't do that till September, so it will be a while before we get that opportunity to see him being grilled in the House of Commons.
Also, lots of comments about the raid on Entebbe and several people raising the fact that there was a British casualty, an elderly lady called Dora Block, who was actually in hospital when the Israelis came to do their rescue, and so she wasn't included in the rescue. And Idi Amin, of course, notorious dictator, he had his troops take her out of hospital, I think she was in her 80s, and just shoot her, and she was disappeared. It was absolutely appalling at the time.
Gosh.
But yeah, more on that later, but lots of interesting memories of what it was like in Britain, witnessing that crisis.
OK, now moving on. 2 15-year-old boys who were spared jail for the rape of 2 girls in Fording Bridge have been sentenced to 4 years detention after the Court of Appeal ruled their sentences were unduly lenient.
Well, the girls were separately attacked in the Hampshire town in November 2024 and January 2025. But we're asking, has justice finally being served? Is the sentence strong and long enough? And why did it take so long to get them sentenced in the first place?
We're joined now by Marcus Johnston, the Managing Director of PCD Solicitors. Thank you for joining us, Mr Johnston. It does seem extraordinary these 2 boys weren't given custodial terms at the beginning. And even now, just 4 years or so, that doesn't seem enough, given what happened.
I think that's correct, Chris. It will be confusing to many of your viewers, I expect, that in the first instance with the decision of the original judge with the youth rehabilitation order seemed remarkably lax in relation to the most serious offences that could be committed, the rape allegations, the rape offences. So to receive a sentence where one doesn't go to prison is remarkable. That, of course, has now been changed with the referral to the Court of Appeal. But as you've alluded to there, many of your viewers may think that's lenient, still too lenient, a 4-year sentence, a detention sentence, for which they will serve around half and then take off time served. So again, it seems a remarkably low period of time in detention for 13, 14, 15-year-old people who commit the most serious offence against children.
Yes, and of course, Marcus, the purpose of prison and detention in particular is not just punishment, but also to keep the public safe. And of course, you can't ever write anybody off, but it does seem very unlikely that these boys will emerge from prison and not be tempted to commit that kind of crime again. Isn't there a public safety argument for detaining them longer, or at least until a parole board thinks they're no longer a danger, which may or may not happen?
That's correct, Miriam. I tend to agree with you. The problem with very short sentences, even when somebody's sent to prison, is that nothing really gets done with them. They're not long enough inside. It can take months, if not years, for a prisoner to be assessed properly. And of course, if somebody's only serving 18 months, 2 years in prison in reality from a 4-year sentence, nothing really gets done. The argument is they probably will come out of prison worse than when they went in, and that's one of the arguments about not sending children to prison anyway. So there's a wider debate to be had about should people go to prison, what is the point? Yes, you've alluded to there that it's punishment, but there's also an issue of rehabilitation. Why send people to prison if they're not going to be rehabilitated? So they come out worse than when they went in.
And I keep thinking about the victim, I'm afraid, Marcus Johnson. She has got a life sentence of remembering what happened to her, knowing what happened to her, and probably not trusting men, having huge issues, which is with her for life. And these two boys are out in 2 years, 18 months. It just seems, frankly, still too little, I think, for what she went through.
It does, Chris, and I think if you look at the victim impact statements and the harm reports that were produced, these were available to the original sentencing judge. But if you consider what the victims have said, it's affected their education. They've felt overwhelmed, anxious. They no longer feel safe in public. They've withdrawn from themselves. They've got suicidal tendencies. The mental stress that's deteriorated. The harm to them will last a lifetime. There's no doubt about that. But that doesn't seem to be taken into account. But then when you consider the support that was given to the lads who were originally on trial, with all the assessments, there's a lot done for the defence.
Can I ask one question to you, Mr. Johnson? What I never see, having covered this kind of thing for 30 years, is the judges who make these rulings originally never seem to face any public sanction. Or are they taken off cases, or are they spoken to by the Lord Chief Justice? What happens, because this goes down to an issue of the judge and the sentencing, doesn't it? What happens to the judges when this happens?
Well, it's a good point, and I think there is a reluctance to criticise judges too much. And I think it's probably fair to say that there is some praise for the judge in this case. Certainly one of the defence barristers actually stood up and praised the judge for the handling of the case. It was dealt with very well, in their opinion. But equally, the Court of Appeal has criticised the judge and said that he got things wrong.
Yeah.
He found that there was no severe psychological harm when there was. They said there was no prolonged detention.
But is that judge now banned from hearing cases, or will he hear further cases and make similar mistakes? How will he be made to learn lessons of his mistakes?
I don't think anything will happen to him. He'll be able to carry on and do the work that he does. Certainly he'll reflect on the Court of Appeal's decision. I think it's fair to say that no judge wants to have their decisions overturned on appeal, and they will look very carefully at that. But I don't think anything will come from him. Affect him.
Very interesting. Marcus Johnson, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
It's not like politics, is it? I mean, in politics, there is sanction, and when mistakes are made, these people are held to account. And I think often judges aren't held to account in these cases.
That is extraordinary, isn't it? It's now public knowledge that his judgment has been overturned and was seen as wrong, and yet, like you say, but then that is how our legal system works, isn't it? That's the point of having an appeals process. If you're successful in your appeal, it does mean the original judge was wrong, or at least considered to be wrong by others. So, and
it costs money to have an appeal, and and other cases behind. I just hope that the judges.
Hopefully there'll be some lessons learned. I think that's what we're supposed to say, aren't we? So absolutely horrendous case. Well, moving on, and pubs are going to be allowed to stay open until 5 o'clock in the morning on Monday. Is anybody going to go? So fans can watch England's World Cup clash with Mexico right through to the final whistle.
Well, I won't be in a pub. I'm presenting breakfast on Monday morning, but I'll be probably up late watching it and straight onto the show. But we're joined now by the landlord of the Horseshoe in Bristol, Matt Lewis. Matt, are you arranging for staff to come in? Are you paying them extra? How are you going to sort out your staffing to make sure you're fully staffed at 1 a.m. on Monday morning?
I couldn't possibly let him do that. So I volunteered to do it myself. I couldn't ask him to do that.
Matt, do you think, maybe I'm not the biggest football fan in the world. I am a fan of England, but I will not be staying up through the night to watch it. Do you think people will watch it in the pub, or do you think they'll stay at home and watch it in their pyjamas?
Well, it's funny because just before Keir Starmer, Mr. U-turn, decided to U-turn on this, I was actually combating the local council about the 5-day notice for a temporary events notice to try and open up, because I've had quite a few of our locals and quite a few regulars, quite a few neighbours request to come in. And all of a sudden I was fighting, I was getting no results, and all of a sudden I had the phone call saying, actually, yeah, we can do it, let's go ahead with it.
Wow.
So
there is demand.
Will you be enforcing any dress code on Monday night? Will you allow pyjamas and nighties and dressing gowns and slippers, or will you be saying, no, be dressed properly for my pub?
No, I will allow anything except the Mexico colours.
Very good. And what are your predictions for the game? Because it's that Mexico are good, they're at home, it's a high altitude, it's a high temperature. It doesn't bode well for England.
No, but I have every faith in the boys, and so much faith I put some money on them. So I reckon it's going to be about 1-0. 1-0 to England.
It's going to be tight. We can't rely on about 3 players, though, can we? Obviously, we've got, Jude Bellingham, Harry Kane, maybe Declan Rice, but we've got to get the other players stepping up in that high altitude. I hope it works out. But so it is actually happened. You are getting the right to extend. The law's being changed in Parliament today, and then that can happen on Monday. It's all the paperwork is done, is it?
Yeah, and I think if there's a lesson to be learned from this, I think the government needs to give a lot more powers to the local authorities, like mine, South Gloucestershire Council, to be able to just go, well, instead of filling out a form and go, no, not enough notice, not doing this, won't even look at it. Let them look at it. Let them judge it by case 100%. By case.
Yeah, I think that's such a good point. Because it shouldn't be a matter for Parliament, should it?
No, it's just red tape and
exactly.
I mean, and it's like random anyway. The 11 p.m. last orders is a random thing anyway. I mean, why have it then? It should be just, frankly, if you can find the customers for it and it doesn't offend neighbours, get open. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. If the local council, our neighbours, our customers love it, then why not?
Yeah.
Matt Lewis, good luck. Hopefully you'll serve lots of drinks and we'll be served lots of goals on Monday night.
We'll be cheering you on from here too. Thank you, Matt Lewis. Well, time for our brand new Great British giveaway. It's your chance to win a golden summer celebration, £60,000 in tax-free cash, Miriam. That's not all.
No, a bar of gold worth over £5,000. You can keep it, give it away, use it as a doorstop, whatever you want to do with it.
Wow, look at that.
Here's what you need to do.
We're celebrating a golden summer with a terrific 2-part Great British giveaway. First, you could win a sensational £60,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like this year. What would you do with that? And that's not all, as you'll also win our most precious prize to date, a fine gold bar worth over £5,000. It's pure gold to own, trade or gift to a loved one and secure their financial future. So make sure you don't miss your chance to bank over £65,000 worth of prizes in our golden summer celebration. For a chance to win £60,000 in tax-free cash and a real gold bar, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Well, good luck to everybody in your entry. Up next, the NHS will give shopping vouchers to anyone who walks 20 minutes a day. But where are they walking to, Chris? Perhaps the Greasy Spoon?
Don't be so mean. They're going to the fruit shop. We'll be going through that and more with Emma Trimble, Jonathan List. Give us a wave, you two. There they are. This is Britain's Newsroom. It's Friday, and we are, of course, on GB News. There we are.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to
stop.
You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me good there.
Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand. Yeah. Uncensored. Very, very racy tonight on the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace to
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News,
the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/your say. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/your say, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
It's 10:25 on Friday. This is Britain's Newsroom with apparently someone called Chopper and Miriam.
There's some people in the building who are confused as to why you were called Chopper. One theory was that you're utterly ruthless and you go around being mean to everyone.
No.
Another one said that you had a fan of helicopters. You're a fan of helicopters. It's just your name, isn't it?
When I started out, my email was chope@scotsman.com and Chope became Chopper, and it carried on. I can't be bothered to fight it anymore, so here we are.
I think the ruthless helicopter fan is a better cover story.
Brutal questions is what I like to think I try and do sometimes.
Well, we're joined now by another two brutal commentators, Jonathan Liss and Emma Trimble, here in the studio to go through the day's news. Good morning, both of you. Let's start with this pub opening all through the night on Monday. I mean, great news for pub landlords. We've just spoken to one, but not necessarily such great news for the police, Emma, who aren't so impressed with this idea.
True, although in the 11th hour it seems that Keir Starmer's finally figured out how to do something popular. I mean, if he could allow them to open until 5 a.m, around, you know, not just for the football but throughout the year, I think that would be, as in many European countries, you know, it'd be really good for hospitality. I'm sure it will lead to maybe some drunken disorderly behaviour.
Depends if we win or lose.
You know, come on, the police don't actually bother to police proper crimes anyway, it seems, so I'm sure...
Well, they're probably worrying about having to pay more staff to be around on overtime to be around because the pubs are open, but I think it won't be a violent...
It would be terrible if they had to do their job.
Well, but it won't be a violent time, will it? I mean, Jonathan, it's a happy thing, it's football.
I just don't understand why we don't just enjoy ourselves in this country. Why can't pubs stay open for as long as the landlords want them to? The landlord can find the staff and they're not disrupting people. You go to basically any city in Europe and they literally laugh at you when you tell them that your pub's closed at 11 p.m.
And it's often earlier.
They start going to the pub then. Like even in Berlin, I've been for a quiet drink at literally 3 in the morning on a Sunday night or a Monday morning, just at a quiet residential. No one gets upset. People know that that's the culture there. People sit outside even. It's just I don't understand. This country, we have to make such a meal of everything. Why can't we just
Jonathan,
do what people want to do?
There is a link between, I'm afraid, England losing and domestic abuse. It's been talked about before by campaigners.
But what's that got to do with the pub staying open until 5?
Well, there could be. That's the concern of the police being called out to deal with issues at home. But that can happen.
But look, the domestic violence, which we have to stress, is the responsibility of the men doing it, not the England footballers or the women who need to avoid them. That's we should be directing that conversation. But that's not going to change whether the pubs are open late. If people want to drink, they can buy beers in the supermarket and then drink them at home. So that's the issue. In fact, if
be out of the house.
If men are in the pub, it's probably actually a safer place.
No, Keir Starmer's pulled off a miracle. Jonathan and I agree.
It's not.
I don't know. I think that we have really strange licensing laws in this country. I don't know why people can't be treated as adults. That's my basic point. I'm the anti-nanny state leftist.
Well, here's an interesting nanny state policy for you. NHS shopping vouchers for people who walk 20 minutes a day. Emma, I assume this is to try and encourage people to get more active and lose some weight, which is probably the best thing that this country could do overall for the NHS.
It's so lucky.
Pressure off the NHS. But is this a good idea?
Yeah, I mean,
you could walk to the pub and get your voucher.
It's true. And you can walk back from the pub at 5 a.m. Stagger back. Will they pay you a voucher out if you're staggering? I don't know. But, I mean, we're obviously rolling in money, so it's a great idea for the state to be spending money on vouchers to encourage people to walk 20 minutes a day. I mean, I think many people walk 20 minutes a day without even, thinking about it. How many, if they were paying every single person in the country,
well, it won't
20 minutes a day, if people actually
who
wanted
need
to cash
lose weight or have got particular...
But, I mean, this just doesn't seem like it's a good use of taxpayer money. I'm sure that the way that they would justify it is by saying, if people improve their health and they're less dependent on the NHS, it costs the NHS less over time. But this is, as you've already said, Miriam, this is more nanny statery, incentivising us like we're children. If you are overweight, that is your personal responsibility. You should, 20 minutes a day of walking is unbelievably light exercise unless you are 600 pounds. So I just don't think it's a good use of taxpayer money at a time when things are tight.
How is it nanny statism? For me, the nanny state is when the state is telling you not to do things and stopping you from having choices. So a nanny state option would be to ban you from eating chocolate, for example. That I would oppose wholeheartedly. On the other hand, if people, as you point out, are costing taxpayers, the NHS, public money in the diseases associated with obesity, and it's hard to motivate them to change their habits or their nutrition or whatever, then this seems like a reasonable use of money to persuade people using a carrot approach, obviously the more carrots the better, to actually save the government money long term.
Okay. Good point. Well, we'll come back to you next time, Emma, but we'll see you guys in an hour. Thank you very much to our two panellists.
OK, thank you both. Now, here is your 60-second news update with Sam Francis.
Good morning to you. The top story from the newsroom just after 10:30. 8 people have been arrested in the UK after investigations into online networks which encourage men to drug and rape women. The National Crime Agency says it has identified 270 people linked to forums where footage of coordinated sexual abuse is shared. A cast member from Channel 4's Married at First Sight UK has been arrested on suspicion of rape after a BBC Panorama investigation into the show. The Met Police says the man's been bailed while inquiries continue. Andy Burnham says he would take his responsibilities to fund Britain's defence plan extremely seriously, that is, if he becomes Prime Minister. The plan gives defence a £15 billion boost, but leaves the next Prime Minister with more than £4 billion still to find. The FA is reviewing security around England's team hotel in Mexico City before their World Cup clash against Mexico. It comes after Ecuador's players endured a sleepless night when dozens of Mexico fans gathered outside their hotel before their knockout match. A man has been rescued alive after spending 8 days trapped under rubble following twin earthquakes in Venezuela. Emergency crews freed Hernan Gil from beneath 140 tons of debris in what rescuers have called an extremely complex operation. And here the NHS will offer rewards to people who walk around 30 minutes a day under a new Marathon a Month challenge. The scheme will launch in England early next year with people logging walks online or through a phone or smartwatch. Those are this morning's top stories. A full roundup of all the news at 11.
Tune in to GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB Digital Radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player, on Nation Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Up next, now today marks the 50th anniversary of the raid on Entebbe Airport in Uganda when Israeli commandos launched a daring mission to rescue over 100 Israeli hostages on a plane hijacked by pro-Palestinian terrorists. Look at the route they took there on the map. This is Britain's Newsroom on GB News.
Hello, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Plenty of fine weather today across the United Kingdom. Warm, sunny skies for many parts of England, Wales, eastern Scotland. Towards the northwest, however, we do have thicker cloud to begin the day and some spots of rain for western Scotland, Northern Ireland. And that's just going to turn more persistent by the afternoon and into the evening. Further south, we keep the warm sunshine and temperatures a little higher compared with the last couple of days, but actually broadly low to mid-20s with 27 Celsius expected somewhere around London. High teens for parts of Scotland and Northern Ireland, where we've got the thicker cloud, a stronger breeze, and those outbreaks of rain which will continue into the evening. But a beautiful end of the day for the southern half of the country. Widespread blue skies across Wales, central and southern England. Getting into the north of England, and the cloud by this stage is turning thicker with outbreaks of rain reaching Cumbria, into the Pennines, as well as clearing eventually Northern Ireland, but it's setting in there across the south and central part of Scotland. The far north and northeast of Scotland largely dry, cooler here, but with some clear spells and just the odd shower. Now, rain across more central parts of the UK continues overnight, but it does become more showery in nature during the early hours. A lot of cloud in the north and the west, and with a mild wind direction, temperatures are going to stay up at the mid to high teens in many places, low teens for Scotland and Northern Ireland. So a warm night, but not as uncomfortable as last week. And we begin Saturday with a lot of cloud in the sky, a few spots of rain as well for parts of England, Wales, Northern Ireland. More persistent damp weather across the west of Scotland, especially the Western Highlands, where it will really accumulate through the weekend. A very soggy weekend here. Further south, it's turning drier, warmer and sunnier through Saturday and Sunday.
Thank you, Britain, for making GB News Radio such a huge success. Whether you're in the car, on the go, or listening at home, thank you for choosing us as your radio station.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from GBNews.com. The A1 motorway between Junction 42 and Junction 43 near Wakefield is closed due to a collision causing slow traffic. The A1 is also closed after the A63 near Bradford heading towards Selby. The A38 westbound after the A3064 in Devon is closed. There is an obstruction reported on the M6 near Wolverhampton. In Scotland, the A75 eastbound exit slip at Gretna is closed due to planned maintenance, with delays expected. And on the trains, cross-country and Great Northern services face major disruption through Cambridge. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
OK, it's 25 to 11. This is Britain's Newsroom with me, Christopher Hope, and Miriam Cates.
Well, it was the unthinkable mission with tales of heroism against a backdrop of terrorism and a brutal dictatorship.
This story became so famous that Hollywood made a movie out of it, over 100 lives saved, and even motivating a future Prime Minister. And Miriam Cates, the brilliant reporter for GB News, has this report.
It was the daring rescue mission that shocked the world. 50 years ago, 102 hostages were rescued in a deadly siege following a week-long crisis that began with the hijacking of Air France Flight 139. 248 people boarded the flight from Tel Aviv to Paris, with a stopover in Athens to pick up more passengers. Among those passengers were 4 armed pro-Palestinian terrorists. 8 minutes after takeoff, the terrorists hijacked the plane and forced the pilot to fly to Uganda's Entebbe airport. There, the notorious dictator Idi Amin and his troops were waiting to assist the attackers to hold the passengers hostage.
I've been telephoned several telephone calls from Tel Aviv talking to me since I cut off relationship with Israel because of the hostages.
The non-Israeli passengers were freed and flown to Paris, and the attackers issued their demand to Israel's government: the release of 53 mostly Palestinian imprisoned terrorists. If Israel refused, their citizens would be executed. Inside the Israeli government, arguments raged. Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin, under mounting pressure, favoured negotiating with the terrorists. Hostages' friends and relatives clashed with the police in Tel Aviv. Yet others, including Defence Minister Shimon Peres, argued that Israel should not give in to the terrorist demands. But the IDF worked around the clock, and a bold rescue plan was hatched to free the hostages. Central to the mission, codenamed Operation Thunderbolt, would be 30-year-old Commander Yonatan Netanyahu, one of Israel's finest soldiers. On the night of July the 3rd, with the terrorist deadline fast approaching, over 100 elite Israeli soldiers took off from the Sinai Desert, headed for Uganda. To avoid radar detection, the pilots had to fly at an altitude of just 100 feet. But the tactic worked, and the first Hercules aircraft landed at Entebbe undetected. The commandos quickly unloaded and drove towards the old terminal building where the hostages were being held. But it was here that the first and most significant mistake was made. Approaching a Ugandan sentry, Yoni Netanyahu ordered his troops to shoot the guard, abandoning the agreed plan not to engage in fighting until the terminal had been reached. The ensuing firefight caused chaos, and Netanyahu was shot and badly wounded by a Ugandan sniper. Nevertheless, IDF soldiers stormed the building, rapidly taking out the 7 terrorists and 45 Ugandan troops. 3 hostages were killed in the firefight, but just 53 minutes after landing, the remaining 102 hostages were extracted onto the waiting aircraft. The next day, they returned to Israel to a hero's welcome, but the success was tinged with sadness. Yoni Netanyahu died of his wounds at Entebbe Airport, becoming a national hero and the only soldier to die in the raid. His legacy helped launch the political career of his brother Benjamin Netanyahu.
At Entebbe, international terrorism suffered a stinging defeat. The rescue mission proved that good can prevail over evil, that hope can triumph over evil, over fear.
50 years on, peace in the Middle East seems as unlikely as ever. But the raid on Entebbe Airport ended the era of regular hijackings and marked out the IDF as a force to be reckoned with. Miriam Cates, GB News. Well, we're delighted to be joined now by the former Minister of Internal Security of Israel and one of the commandos who took part in that raid 50 years ago, Mr. Omer Bar-Lev. Mr. Bar-Lev, thank you so much for joining us this morning. This must bring back incredible memories of 50 years ago. What were the commandos thinking and feeling on that long flight from Israel to Entebbe that night?
So first of all, good morning. Yes, 50 years had passed. And you know, during the week before, once the Air France aircraft was hijacked, until the end of that week, we didn't feel that it's something to do with us, because, you know, no one could imagine that we will be able to rescue hostages that are 4,000 kilometers from Israel. And only on Thursday night, midnight, just to give you the timeline, the raid was on Saturday night. So only on Thursday night, we got the order that we are within 24 hours, maybe 30 hours, are going to fly to Entebbe and rescue the hostages. And, you know, it was a hectic, Friday was very, very hectic. We didn't have enough time actually to prepare ourselves as optimistically as possible and to gather all the gear and so on and so on. But we did our best. And on Saturday morning at 10 a.m., we flew from Ben Gurion Airport to Sharm el-Sheikh. At that time, the peninsula of Sinai was still under Israeli regime, and from there we refueled the last time, and we flew something like 8 hours to Entebbe with 4 Hercules airplanes.
Quite extraordinary, and I mean, no US support. You did it on your own as a country, and a huge reach. And it almost demonstrated, didn't it, how Israel can look after its own thousands of miles away. It did so much, I think, to bolster the confidence of your country.
Yes, it was, you know, it was amazing, first of all, and for us, you know, we 24 hours before, we didn't believe, I didn't believe that I will stand on Ugandan soil.
Yeah.
And once I got out there, I was in the second Hercules. It took us a little bit more than an hour to take off back. And it was really, really an amazing operation, very courageous, and basically courageous to three people from my point of view. First of all, it's Jonathan Netanyahu, which was the commander of my unit. Second, it's Shiki Shani that led the four Herculeses. And above all was Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin that, the responsibility was on him. And he told his secretary that if the raid will fail, he will give his resignation the next morning to Israel president. And thankfully, it didn't happen.
And just finally, Mr. Bar-Lev, how did you manage to identify the hostages? There were some real fears amongst the authorities that a lot of hostages would be killed, that there'll be more casualties. How did you manage to rescue them all so efficiently?
Yes, this was the most sensitive point or issue in the operation. How to identify them. We assume that there will be a storm within the building they were held. And what happened actually was almost the opposite, because you mentioned that there was a sudden checkpoint before that we fired and killed the 3 Ugandans. And the terrorists heard that, and they thought that the Ugandans are opening fire. They didn't believe that it's us Israelis, and they told the hostages to lie down. And when we got in, it was relatively, everything relatively. I'm saying in brackets, relatively easier to see who are the terrorists, and of course, unfortunately, we killed by mistake 3 hostages as well.
Mr. Bar-Lev,
I don't know if we killed. Maybe the terrorists killed. We never know. But 3 hostages were killed.
Yeah. Mr. Bar-Lev, thank you so much for joining us this morning. A real privilege to speak to you. Omar Bar-Lev, who, of course, was on that raid and then had a career in politics afterwards. Thank you so much. Fascinating stuff.
Unbelievably fascinating. Thank you.
Now, coming up next.
OK, yeah, the PM in waiting. That's Andy Burnham, in case you weren't reading your papers recently or watching GB News, wants to save our high streets. But where does he stand on other things too? We don't really know.
But first, if you're in search of some holiday sun, here's the forecast.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Plenty of fine weather across Europe at the moment, but Greece is reasonably showery, unusual for the time of year, and a strong breeze affecting the south of Italy. Less breezy for Madeira and the Canary Islands compared with the last few days. Iberia, plenty of hot sunshine and particularly hot through Portugal, mid to high 30s, and mid 30s expected through Italy, but a keen breeze will affect the south of the country, while showers continue for southern parts of Greece.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
But what message would you just like to say? Because this one's voted for by the public.
Yes.
And it's all down to the viewers. What message have you got for those guys?
Well, we've got the best viewers in the world, haven't we? The most loyal viewers, the best viewers. And, of course, they've supported Breakfast for so many years with Ellie and all the other members of Breakfast. And, we can't do it without them.
Yeah, I think we are unique, GB News, in the way that our viewers are really central to everything that we do. So, you know, with our GB Views at gbnews.com, we're always reading off the comments. We have viewers on all the time to talk to us about our stories. I think we are the only place that actually has our viewers front and centre. So it's so nice to have something back in a Trick Award when they recognise, you know, the hard work that we try and do every single year. So please God, 4 years on the trot would be great, wouldn't it?
GB News, the People's Channel. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Now wearing a Pegasus necklace badge commemorating the airborne forces. This week, 76 years ago, started the Korean War, often known as the Forgotten War. This is an opportunity for remembrance as well, isn't it?
That's right. In remembering with all of the conflicts, it's affected every single person here who is in uniform. But it doesn't just stop there. Once they do get to the end of their service, they're often felt like they're forgotten about. So a big part of it is about remembering those that have fallen, but also those that are still alive and that are still with their own struggles. I wouldn't be able to do the job that I do now. I lead international expeditions and have done for the last 30 years. And the majority of those skills and that skill set and why I get asked back come directly from my time in the service, my time in the Royal Marines.
GB News, the People's Channel. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast has won the Trick Awards for the 4th year on the trot. I'm here with Alex Armstrong and Diamond and Ellie Costello. Guys, congratulations. Ellie, how does it feel?
Just incredible. I was really hoping we could do it 4 years on the bounce, but you can't take these things for granted, can you? And I did think maybe they'll want to give it to someone else this year, and I really, really wanted us to win. Anne is here from her cruise.
Brilliant, yeah.
And Anne, your acceptance speech was amazing. You reflected on your years in the industry. How much does this mean?
I was able to hold one of these was 40 years ago, 1986, for the same sort of breakfast television programme that they said would never catch on.
There you go.
Full circle moment.
And what message have you got for GB News viewers? Because obviously this is voted for by the public.
Oh, it's thanks. I mean, it's real thanks, because that's why this award is so important.
GB News, the People's Channel.
UK police have expressed concerns over Sir Keir Starmer's decision to allow pubs, after all, to remain open until 5 a.m. on Monday, so people can watch England versus Mexico in the pub.
Well, some campaigners have expressed fears that this could lead to a rise in domestic abuse due to heavy alcohol consumption. But we do have our political correspondent, Olivia Utley, here. I mean, Olivia, if people are going to drink watching the match, they're going to drink watching the match, whether or not it's in the pub or at home. I mean, are these fears fair, do you think?
Well, it'll be very interesting to see what does happen on Sunday night. Breakfast was speaking to a couple of landlords who both said that they weren't going to be opening their pubs despite being allowed to, because they were worried that the communities that they live in, you know, small villages, would react very badly to people out on the streets drunk late at night. There was one woman who said that she would be mad to base her business on one football match. So it'll be interesting to see how many pubs actually make use of these late opening times. Of course, they're also concerned that over 90% of the money that they are taking in from the average price of a pint will go towards VAT. They won't be making much money out of it. They will need to keep staff working late. Probably staff will have to be incentivised with extra pay for working those very, very late hours into the early hours of the morning. So it might end up being a bit of a damp squib, and lots of pubs won't open, but we'll have to see what happens. The police have to respond like this. Of course, it's tricky for them. They'll have more police officers having to work early into the morning. But as you say, Miriam, I mean, people will be watching the match whether they're in a pub or at home.
The National Police Chiefs Council have issued a statement saying that there can be an increase, they've seen it before, in violent incidents, particularly in nighttime economy, and an increase in domestic abuse. But that would happen whether or not the pubs will open, you'd imagine, because that can happen at home as much. In fact, it does happen at home more often than not. So perhaps this is Well, let's hope it doesn't happen.
Let's hope it's a bit of a storm in a teacup, exactly. I mean, Keir Starmer didn't really have a choice here, I think. If his final act as the outgoing Prime Minister was to close the pubs for the England game, he would not have a
Still time to U-turn, Olivia.
I mean, you're alluding there to the fact he's on his way out, and he is, but we still don't know what Andy Burnham's got planned for government, do we? It's concerning our viewers and listeners on Your Say. They want to know. Last night, the PM in waiting, Andy Burnham, gave a 15-minute interview with a radio station, which we're now going over like it's the words of the Bible, really important language. What's he mean on this, that and the other? I mean...
Exactly. I mean, we're having to dissect speeches that he made years ago as the Mayor of Manchester. You know, he said things like he believes that that tax on income is too high and should be brought more into line with tax on capital gains. So that means that we're assuming he might raise capital gains tax, but we just don't know.
Well, we do have some breaking news to bring you now. Thank you, Olivia. A 39-year-old Ukrainian woman, Anastasia Berezovska, is named as the suspect in the Monaco bombing.
An international arrest warrant has been issued as the search continues for the suspect in a bomb in Monaco that seriously injured 3 people.
Goodness. Well, we'll bring you, of course, more on that story as it's revealed, but we've got plenty more to come on Britain's Newsroom. But first of all, we've got your weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Plenty of fine weather today across the United Kingdom. Warm, sunny skies for many parts of England, Wales, eastern Scotland. Towards the northwest, however, we do have thicker cloud to begin the day and some spots of rain for western Scotland, Northern Ireland, and that's just going to turn more persistent by the afternoon and into the evening. Further south, we keep the warm sunshine and temperatures a little higher compared with the last couple of days, but actually broadly low to mid-20s with 27 Celsius expected somewhere around London. High teens for parts of Scotland and Northern Ireland, where we've got the thicker cloud, a stronger breeze, and those outbreaks of rain which will continue into the evening. But a beautiful end of the day for the southern half of the country. Widespread blue skies across Wales, central and southern England. Getting into the north of England, and the cloud by this stage is turning thicker with outbreaks of rain reaching Cumbria, into the Pennines, as well as clearing eventually Northern Ireland, but it's setting in there across the south and central part of Scotland. The far north and northeast of Scotland largely dry, cooler here, but with some clear spells and just the odd shower. Now, rain across more central parts of the UK continues overnight, but it does become more showery in nature during the early hours. A lot of cloud in the north and the west, and with a mild wind direction, temperatures are going to stay up at the mid to high teens in many places, low teens for Scotland and Northern Ireland. So a warm night, but not as uncomfortable as last week. And we begin Saturday with a lot of cloud in the sky, a few spots of rain as well for parts of England, Wales, Northern Ireland. More persistent damp weather across the west of Scotland, especially the Western Highlands, where it will really accumulate through the weekend. A very soggy weekend here. Further south, it's turning drier, warmer and sunnier through Saturday and Sunday.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
We're celebrating a golden summer with a terrific 2-part Great British giveaway. First, you could win a sensational £60,000 in tax-free cash. And that's not all, as you'll also win our most precious prize to date, a fine gold bar worth over £5,000. For a chance to win, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of the matter?
So that's a very live question.
Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way.
You will not want to miss it, trust me. The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
Bold.
They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel. As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
the Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
Because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time. But I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
It's Friday the 3rd of July, live across the UK. This is Britain's Newsroom with Christopher Hope and Miriam Cates.
Well, Burnham has a plan for business. The Prime Minister in waiting reveals his blueprint to save our high streets.
I did set out quite a big plan for change. Yeah. Feels like the country says, yeah, OK, this feels like the right thing to do, the right direction. That's certainly the direction I've felt I've had.
We're making sure that pubs can stay open on Monday morning, early on Monday morning for the England game. So I know lots of people are making their plans.
You heard him right, pubs are open until 5 a.m. on Monday morning for the England versus Mexico game, but police now say they're worried about an increase in violence.
And some breaking news this morning, 39-year-old Ukrainian woman Anastasia Berezovska has been named as the suspect in the Monaco bombing earlier this week.
The Great Exodus. Do you get it? The Culture Secretary Lisa Nandy pulls her department off the platform Twitter, including her own account, accusing it of favouring abuse and misinformation.
And fit to shop. The NHS will give shopping vouchers to anyone who walks 20 minutes a day. But we're asking, is it a waste of money?
Yes, in a desperate drive to get obesity numbers down, the NHS is now offering vouchers to those who walk for 20 minutes a day. Will it have any effect whatsoever? Find out more with me very soon.
What about the school kids? Should they be given time off on Monday to watch the England match? England boss Thomas Tuchel thinks so.
Write an excuse for school and let them watch football. Come on, there's so much school to go to, but World Cup is every 4 years.
Do you think children should get time off school, Chris, for watching the England match? I mean, they're going to be extremely tired if they've been staying up all night.
So in Scotland, they got a bank holiday, despite their game being on Saturday, on the Monday. We're getting no time off because, of course, bank holidays cost the economy money. So the government's saying be back at work and have what they call a disco nap. That means I'm old enough to go to discos, Miriam. Do you go to discos when you're younger?
The odd one or two, Chris.
What that meant is you go to bed early one night and wake up to go out. So that's the idea of it. But I think, yes, you have to get children into school. But but I guess teachers may go easy on them if they're a bit sleepy at the back.
Well, so we've only got a few weeks left of term. I mean, I think you can't close the schools because, like you say, then parents can't go to work. So I think you're just going to have to muddle through. Tiredness doesn't kill you. And any parent can tell you that.
I think we should all go to bed at 6 p.m. on Sunday evening and get up at 1 a.m. I personally am working on Monday morning from about 6 a.m. We may even bring forward our breakfast show and do it all earlier.
From 5.
All sorts of ideas.
I think after the pubs have served alcohol all the way through the night, they should also then serve a full English breakfast at 5 o'clock to soak it all up.
Absolutely, I think it's I think it's a national moment.
Yeah, I agree.
It's one night.
Absolutely,
let's make it happen. And I think having pubs open is a great thing by the Prime Minister. He's finally done something to please the nation.
Yes, his final act. Although, as I said to Olivia, still time to U-turn. I think the police are hoping he will.
You can't U-turn again. Look, send us your views. So gbnews.com/your say. But first, here are the news headlines with Sam Francis.
Very good morning to you from the newsroom. Well, we start this hour with breaking developments in an ongoing Europe-wide manhunt after Interpol has named the woman wanted over a Monaco bomb attack. Anastasia Bereskova, who is 39, has been named in a red notice seeking her arrest. Prosecutors say she was disguised as a man, and a source has told the Reuters news agency she's been spotted now in Germany. The explosion injured 3 people, including a woman who was left in a life-threatening condition. Local reports say the suspected target in the attack was a Ukrainian billionaire who has faced sanctions over alleged links to Russia. Police are currently investigating the bombing as attempted murder, but are not treating it as terrorism at this stage. Here, 8 people have been arrested after investigations into online networks which encourage men to drug and to rape women. The National Crime Agency says it has identified 270 people linked to forums where footage of coordinated sexual abuse is shared. It says the abuse is often carried out by a long-term partner and continues for decades. 14 investigations are now underway across the UK and 8 victims have been identified and supported. The Crown Prosecution Service says the abuse is among the most horrifying it's ever seen. A cast member from Married at First Sight UK, one of Channel 4's biggest reality shows, has been arrested on suspicion of rape today. It comes after a Panorama investigation on the BBC raised serious questions about contestant welfare, including rape allegations from 2 female cast members and a separate allegation of a non-consensual sex act. The men involved have all denied the allegations against them. Channel 4, meanwhile, has commissioned a review into contributor welfare on the show. Politics, and Andy Burnham says he would take his responsibilities to fund Britain's defence plan extremely seriously if he becomes Prime Minister. The Defence Investment Plan gives the armed forces a £15 billion spending boost, but it also leaves the next Prime Minister with more than £4 billion funding still to find. Mr Burnham told reporters he had not seen all of the details before the plan was published, but he insists there will be no compromise on the security of the nation. The Football Association is saying that it will tackle security around England's team hotel in Mexico City before their World Cup tie against Mexico. It comes after Ecuador's federation complained to FIFA. Dozens of Mexico fans gathered outside Ecuador's hotel before their defeat in the capital. They were using horns, loudspeakers and motorcycle engines to make noise into the early hours. The FA says it's already got high security arrangements in place, but could change them if new information emerges. Well, it comes as England fans are set to be heavily outnumbered tonight, with the FA given only 3,000 official tickets in the stadium of more than 83,000. In Venezuela, a man has been rescued miraculously alive after spending 8 days trapped under rubble following twin earthquakes in the country. Emergency services freed Hernan Gil from beneath 140 tons of debris. He had been working as a security guard in a small concrete booth when the building collapsed around him. Rescuers first heard his faint cries for help on Sunday and then worked for days to reach him. More than 2,500 people have already died in the earthquakes and tens of thousands are still missing. The NHS will offer rewards to people who walk around 30 minutes a day under a new Marathon a Month challenge. Those who complete that challenge every day will walk around 26 miles a month. That is the distance of a marathon. Users can log their walks online through their phone or smartwatch. And the Health Service says rewards could include incentives or discounts at shops. The campaign is part of the 10-year health plan for England and aims to see more than 100,000 people sign up. And in the most important news of the day so far, Taylor Swift fans have descended on Madison Square Garden as rumours are swirling over her possible wedding celebrations with Travis Kelce. High-profile guests were spotted arriving in New York with black SUVs seen dropping guests under a white canopy outside the venue. Reports suggest around 100 people were expected at the event yesterday and a much larger celebration potentially planned today. Neither Swift, though, nor Kelce have publicly confirmed the nature of the event. Those are the 11 o'clock headlines for you. Next, a quick look at the markets.
Taking the ups and downs in our stride. Stilts Home Lifts sponsors the GB News Finance Report.
Just gone 8 minutes past 11, the markets for you. The pound will buy $1.3361 and €1.1664 euros. The price of gold is £3,130 per ounce, and the FTSE 100 is at 10,654 points.
GB News Finance Report, brought to you by Stilts Home Lifts.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom. We're live across the United Kingdom on GB News with Christopher Hope and Miriam Cates.
Let's see what you've been saying on gbnews.com, your say. Plenty about the football. Vincent says, let the kids watch the footy. It's about more than the game. It's about letting our youth engage with patriotic links that bring us all together. Vincent, you're so right.
And I've lost it now. There was a brilliant comment talking about the vouchers for the NHS giving people vouchers for walking 20 minutes a day. Somebody's written, and I can't find it now, that do nurses count because they walk far more than 20 minutes a day on the wards?
And they work for the NHS, of course they do.
Exactly.
And Alison says this about Andy Burnham. I think Burnham will be worse than Starmer. That's an interesting debate to be had. He seems very well liked within the party and very left-leaning, but his refusal to speak to the press, like us, the other day was disturbing.
Yes, lots of comments about that, and also about the Entebbe airport coverage. Lots of people remembering it from 50 years ago today, and how that was covered in the news. So let's keep on getting in touch. gbnews.com/your say.
You can learn so much from history, and we are trying to help you do that on GB News.
Indeed.
Now, the Home Secretary, Yvette Cooper, is under pressure to change immigration laws that would allow a convicted child rapist to be deported after his release from prison.
Well, the proposals follow the release of 73-year-old Shabir Ahmed, who is the ringleader of a notorious Rochdale rape gang.
He was jailed for more than 20 years after being convicted of 30 child rape offences as part of the grooming gang scandal.
Well, human rights lawyer David Haig joins us now. David, good morning. Thank you for joining us on Britain's Newsroom. The revelation that this man cannot be deported to Pakistan despite having been stripped of British citizenship has shocked many in politics and the media and in the country. Can you explain to us this loophole in the 1971 Immigration Act that allows him to stay here and means that we can't deport him?
Hi, good morning to you both. I think the first thing to say is that it shouldn't be a shock or surprise. This is law that's been there since 1971, Miriam. So all the fake shock and surprise of politicians on both sides saying, this is terrible. How did this happen? Well, the current government knew about this law for decades, did nothing about it for 2 years, and this is a law that's been in place, like I said, since 1971, and so it's not a surprise that this is happening now. It's a complete failure of the state, and I think it's Labour gambling with public safety and yet again talking tough on immigration and deporting foreign criminals, but not actually doing anything. This should have been known.
Exactly right. I mean, is it possible to be retrospective? We spoke last night on GB News to the former Attorney General for the Tory government, Sir Michael Ellis. He said that you can't change a law to mean this And can be extradited because that law that came in 71 meant that anyone who came here before 1973 can't be extradited. Is it possible to be retrospective in this way?
I think, Chris, on current laws as they stand and current memberships of things like the ECHR, the short answer is no. So unless we change the existing laws, and this is back to this 1971 law again, why hasn't anyone addressed that already? In the last 50 years, why has no one looked into the problems that would be? It was foreseeable that this individual would be released. So effectively, the short answer is no. People can try, but it's much like trying to tinker around with being able to deport people that come across illegally. Unless you make the big changes, nothing will happen.
And what about the importance of Pakistan as a country being willing to take back people who we want to deport? I mean, we haven't had much success on that with other similar criminals.
And I think that's the thing, they should. But even if they said, yes, they will, if this individual didn't want to go, as per the current law, there's nothing we can do. Even if Pakistan said, yes, we'll take him. And that's the problem. We need to fix our own laws first. And the thing preventing us sending this person, deporting this person, isn't the ECHR, it isn't foreign laws, it's our own law that's been there for 50 years.
But surely, David, if you take away the 1971 Immigration Act, then the European Convention on Human Rights kicks in, his right to a family life. So it is true, isn't it, that if we pulled out the ECHR, it would make it easier to send people like this dreadful individual back to Pakistan?
Absolutely. I've said it before. We either need to fix the ECHR or we need to leave. But the problem that we've got multiple layers of different laws when it comes our own domestic laws and foreign laws and UN conventions when it comes to refugees and immigration statuses. We're a government. We've got a government run by human rights lawyers. Why are they not aware of this? Why are they not fixing it? There's multiple layers. It's going to take time. No progress has been made.
Well, David Haigh, thank you so much for joining us this morning on Britain's Newsroom. It's an extraordinary loophole. I was looking into it this morning, Chris. In 1948, the Commonwealth Citizenship Act was passed that enabled anybody in the Commonwealth, anybody in any country, anywhere, to have citizenship in the UK. And the purpose of that was to bring in workers, because after the war, of course, we had many, many men still serving overseas. We didn't have enough labour to rebuild. But then the government soon realised the error of that. It was very unpopular because, of course, it's millions of people potentially who could come over with no barriers at all. And so they implemented these steady stream of immigration acts to try and tighten the rules. But obviously they had to deal with the people who were already here. And that was the reason for this loophole, but it's had very long unintended consequences. And
the government's saying yesterday that if we change this immigration law in 1971, that will affect the rights of the Windrush group who came here. But I did think the government was hiding behind the Windrush people who came here, who were an amazing group of people who supported this country. And you can't, why is that part of this conversation about child rapists? I think,
of course, it shouldn't be anything to do with child rapists, but the point was the many, many people who came over, particularly from the Caribbean, before 1971, didn't get documents. And so when the Home Office started to try and expel illegal immigrants in the early mid-2010s, some of these people who came over legitimately in the 40s and 50s and 60s but never got documents started to be deported. And so obviously that was why they had to use this act. But irrelevant in this case.
Oh, anyway. Well, this will run and run, sadly. But time for our brand new Great British Giveaway and your chance to win with our Golden Summer Celebration. That's £60,000 in tax-free cash, but that's not all, Miriam.
No, a real gold bar can be yours, worth over £5,000. Keep it, sell it, give it away. Do whatever you need to do. Here's
the details for all the chance to win it.
We're celebrating a golden summer with a terrific two-part Great British Giveaway. First, you could win a sensational £60,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like this year. What would you do with that? And that's not all, as you'll also win our most precious prize to date, a fine gold bar worth over £5,000. It's pure gold to own, trade or gift to a loved one and secure their financial future. So make sure you don't Don't miss your chance to bank over £65,000 worth of prizes in our Golden Summer celebration. For a chance to win £60,000 in tax-free cash and a real gold bar, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry starts at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Well, lots coming up, and please don't be too upset, Chris. I know you're a huge Swiftie, but Taylor Swift is about to tie the knot, actually, with a football star, Travis Kelce, tonight.
Well, I'm hoping my invite's in the post. Me and Mrs. Hope will fly to the States for this wedding. We must be there. But me and Swift, sadly, are never, ever, ever, ever getting back together.
Well, you heard it here first. Well, we'll be discussing that and more with Emma Trimble and Jonathan Liss, ready and waiting. Britain's Newsroom on GB News.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howard. This is the show where each week we see what's happening in the world of culture, current affairs and politics.
First we'll say, welcome to the UK.
And we're not afraid to use our free speech so that you can use yours.
It's not controversial in the slightest to anyone who hasn't lost their mind.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights at 7 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Just gone 20 past 11. This is Britain's Newsroom with Christopher Hope and Miriam Cates.
And we're joined again by our panel, political commentator Jonathan Liss and broadcaster Emma Trimble in the studio. A big question today, Emma, is what does Andy Burnham stand for, other than buses and being northern, which I very much approve of?
we've got no idea, and we won't have an opportunity to know, will we? Though, despite you, Chris, managing to actually collar him and get
one question last night.
I mean, he's been running away from the press because he's running unchallenged. We're not going to have any opportunity to know what he stands for until he becomes Prime Minister. And the only glimmer that we've really gotten is that he stands for milking more money out of the British public, probably to spend on welfare.
Well, it's a bit more than that. It's about place, it's localism, it's giving people money to where they live and being happy to live in places that outside London. Devolution. I think that's all to be credited. I think GB News viewers will want that to happen. But Jonathan, it is worrying, I think, that the party isn't allowing us a chance to hear more of a debate on what's going on. At least the Tories, when they chose new leaders, there were endless debates around the country with members.
Well, there was literally a leadership contest. If a Labour member put themselves forward to challenge Burnham, then there would be the...
Our cards might still stand, Jonathan.
Well, we'll wait and see.
You get enough MPs, though?
Certainly Burnham... Well, I think that there are some people in the Labour Party who would want to contest to air this out, and there are other people who think it would be damaging. I think I can see both sides. The point
Where are you on it?
But I think that Burnham does need to set out his stall on things he's not comfortable talking about, such as foreign policy and defence, etc. These are important, vital responsibilities for a Prime Minister. Burnham has always had sort of inward-facing roles, so it'll be very important to set the scene when he goes abroad and meets foreign leaders, for example. And I hope that he gets good advice, and I hope that the things that he does have to his advantage that Starmer didn't are personal charisma, good communication skills, an idea of what he wants to do, particularly on the devolution thing. And I would like to see that fleshed out in other areas such as education, healthcare, etc. But of course, within the proviso that Labour was elected on a manifesto, and he can't do what Liz Truss tried to do in 2022, which is deviate too much from that, when no one elected Truss to have that manifesto, or have her manifesto, and obviously no one's elected Burnham to have a radically different perspective from 2024. And I say this as someone who would like a more left-wing, a more progressive Labour agenda, but I do think that if you're going to deviate too far, the public needs to have a say on it.
They already have, though, haven't they?
No, they haven't.
And if he's saying that he, is going to stick to the pledge on, not raising income tax,
of course, that's
VAT,
a manifesto pledge,
etc.
Of course.
But the realities are still the same realities that this Labour government have faced. He's not going to be able to escape that. He's still going to have the same MPs that are going to cause the same trouble. And if he's not being scrutinised because he's not answering questions from the press, because he's not running against anybody else who's holding his feet to the fire, we don't know how he's going to weigh these things up.
Well, Emma's got a point there, Jonathan. He's brought in to do better comms than Keir Starmer, and he's not doing comms at all. Why is that?
Well, so far... Of course, he's not going to run away from the media. Of course, he'll take questions. I think at the moment, people like Alistair Campbell have been saying, well, he wants to set the agenda.
Oh, that makes it right.
Well, no, I'm not saying. I'm just giving you the alternative point of view.
Okay.
Obviously, I can understand that, of course, that he needs to have time for media scrutiny, and I fully accept that. But there's also an argument that says let him set the conversation on his own terms for the start. And we've still got a busy 3 weeks ahead, or 2 weeks before he becomes Prime Minister, if we assume he does. And I will hope that he'll flesh out his policy much more fully and allow a range of questions.
Emma, be more of the same but worse.
No, I don't. Why is it going to be worse than Starmer? Why is it going to be worse? I thought listening to this channel for the last 2 years, it couldn't be any worse than Starmer, so make your mind up.
Oh, no, the only way's down.
Well, that's a bit of miserabilist patriotism from the right.
Doesn't it show, though, Emma, that it's all about style and not substance? Labour MPs have seen the polls, they know that Starmer is desperately unpopular, but they outwardly say it's because of his policies, but they're now going to appoint someone whose policies they do not know at all, who probably doesn't even have any. Doesn't it show that it's only about personality for them and nothing to do with the actual policy?
It's all vibes politics, isn't it? It's all
vibes.
Vibes.
It is about communications.
About communication,
it is, absolutely,
but it's also about substance.
What are you communicating?
Politics is also about trade-offs. I mean, he's been successful as the mayor of Manchester because it's not really a sort of overtly political role. He's not weighing into controversies. He's not having to make huge trade-offs. But we don't know what sorts of trade-offs he's willing to make in order to fund defence, in order to, if he wants to raise more taxes, where's he going to raise that from? Is he going to be willing to cut welfare? Probably not, because he's still going to have the same political problems
Well, he said last night he wouldn't be cutting welfare in his radio interview again, one of the few interviews.
And he has goodwill, which Starmer blew very, very quickly with unforced errors such as the winter fuel payments imbroglio. Burnham will have goodwill, and also Labour knows that he's their last and only chance.
Yes.
So they're going to cut him so much more slack than they cut Starmer.
But I do think, I mean, up until this point, it has been style over substance, and we've seen these videos where he's citing Smith's lyrics and stuff like that. I mean, it's the politics of Instagram and TikTok.
And what's Farage then? No, there's no substance there.
Jonathan, Lisa Nandy, who runs the culture department in this country, has quit X or Twitter. She's in charge of regulating Twitter, I suppose, or being in charge of the policy on Twitter. Her department has also left Twitter. Is this a good or bad thing? It's surely bad for freedom of speech, shouldn't you? Why is a politician running away from an audience?
Look, I have different opinions on this. I can see both sides. I have personally decided to stay on Twitter. I think I don't want it to surrender that ground to what I see as some very nasty elements, and obviously I include Musk in that. A lot of us think we were there first, and we belong there as much as anyone, even though the site has become almost unusable in many ways, and it's full of the kind of vitriol, deeply personal invective that never used to be there, and it's a much less fun place than it used to be. You used to be able to have a joke on there. That's now impossible. I used to be able to have banter with people. I can't do that anymore. So I think it's a shame, but I can also understand why, when you do have a deeply toxic environment and you look at the kind of the personal abuse that you get now, which you didn't used to get.
But should she have left, is the question.
Right, but I think that she has a personal right to decide.
Her department's left it too.
Well, look, I think that if you are reasoning that the idea that you can discuss with ordinary people and those ordinary people aren't there anymore, or it's become so overwhelmed with personal abuse, that is an argument that you make.
I think she can. I mean, like you say, she can do what she likes personally. I think it's important for politicians to be on these platforms and to because it is the public square. It is the new public square. For her to then take her department off of the site, which also is the same with the Attorney General. I don't think that is right for the government to pick and choose which platforms it's willing to be on, and to basically exit the public square on Twitter when that is one of the main places where people are having these conversations. You mentioned that you used to be able to have a joke and have banter, but the reality was that Twitter, before Musk bought it, was absolutely, riven with censorship. There were certain things that you just simply couldn't say. Your account will get banned and so on. So, and this is not, very controversial things. We're talking about saying that men can't be women. And
now it's riven with pornography. I mean, take your pick.
There are problems.
There are literal Nazis on it.
There
and
are
you can say, if you say the word cis, your account gets flagged. Cisgender, your account gets flagged now.
There are problems, sure, but for government departments to exit the site because for these reasons, I think fine if they want to do it personally, but it is the choice of the government to exit from a particular part of the public square, and I don't think that's right.
But it's not public, is it? It's not publicly owned. That's the thing. When Musk bought it, people were saying this should be almost like a public good, like a public utility, but then make it like that. If you're going to just be sold to the highest bidder and then the owner becomes overtly political, posts frequent misinformation to thousands and thousands of likes and retweets.
Don't be on any of them.
Well, I think
just do things the old-fashioned way through press releases.
Well, obviously, we can't change the way. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. There is no alternative, as I see it. So that's why
I would rather that they exited than try to censor the internet.
Yeah, well, of course, the alternative is that they have an account that just posts, that doesn't engage with comments and literally just uses it as a news platform.
Well, I don't suppose the department was having arguments.
Okay. One big story on Twitter this weekend will be the wedding, or not wedding, of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. Exciting times. Jonathan?
Yeah, really. Yeah, very, very excited.
Well, it's a big deal for Twitter. What are you, Emma?
Thrilled. I'm happy that she's getting married. I think that's lovely for her. Congratulations.
That's a picture of Madison Square Garden where this event's taking place.
It's going to be an intimate affair, I gather.
So is the wedding is taking place in Madison?
Yeah, because I read it's because there are no windows, so the press can't photograph inside. So they can fully control the environment. However, It's not particularly a romantic building, in my opinion.
But she may be married already. We don't know. It could be
someone else.
No, it's already happened somewhere else. But there's blessings taking place there.
Let's hope object.
Quick, get there.
I'm quite sad. I liked her folklore album. I think that was very good. The later Taylor Swift, I'm quite a fan of. So I'm sorry that Taylor and I,
didn't work out.
No, I'm very happily married.
Politics, Chris. That's for sure.
I'll write some songs instead. Okay.
Well, shall we leave it
Here's someone who knows all about songs by Taylor Swift. Here's the news with Sam Francis.
Very good morning to you. Just after 11:30, well, the top story this hour, a Europe-wide manhunt is now underway after Interpol have named the woman wanted over a Monaco bomb attack. Anastasia Bereskova, who is 39, has been named in a red notice seeking her arrest. The blast reportedly targeted a Ukrainian billionaire and injured 3 people earlier this week. Here, 8 people have been arrested after investigations into online networks which encourage men to drug and rape women. The National Crime Agency says it has identified 270 people linked to forums where footage of coordinated sexual abuse is shared. A cast member from Channel 4's Married at First Sight UK has been arrested on suspicion of rape after a BBC Panorama investigation into the show. The Met Police says the man has been bailed while inquiries continue. Also this morning, Andy Burnham has said he would take his responsibilities to fund Britain's defence plan extremely seriously. That is, if he becomes Prime Minister. The plan gives defence a £15 billion boost, but leaves the next Prime Minister with more than £4 billion still to find. In Venezuela, a man has been miraculously rescued alive after spending 8 days trapped under rubble following twin earthquakes in the country. Emergency crews freed him from beneath 140 tons of debris in what rescuers have called an extremely complex operation. And the NHS will offer awards to people who walk around 30 minutes a day under a new Marathon a Month challenge. The scheme will launch in England early next year with people logging their walks online or through a phone or smartwatch. Those are the latest headlines. I'll have all of the top stories at midday.
Tune in to GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player, on Nation Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
OK, we're back. This is Britain's Newsroom. But, of course, up next is Good Afternoon Britain with Tom and Olivia. What's on your show?
Well, Andy Burnham's been speaking, hasn't he? And we're starting to fill in the blanks of what was an incredibly blank slate.
Yeah, a few blanks have been filled in. It's still looking pretty blank to me. We've had a 15-minute interview. Lobby journalists and lots of people, I think, generally in the country are poring over this, trying to glean as many details as they possibly can. He's going to do a Reddit chat where people can ask him anything, except obviously he only has to answer the questions that he fancies answering. It's not like being scrutinised by a journalist. What have we found out, Tom?
Well, I think we found out that his instinct is maybe the solution is tax. So the death of the high streets, he thinks, well, we should tax the warehouses. Then we look to the issue of defence spending and filling the black hole that he's been graciously left by the current Prime Minister. He said that his instinct was not to go for that kind of welfare reform that everyone might have assumed he could have done, saving the £5 billion that would fill in that hole. But there's some more things that we've learnt as well. The Financial Times has done some digging on what his AI strategy might be. Now, this might sound technical and weird, but it's really important for the country because we're becoming the sort of second base of AI outside of the United States. We're going to have self-driving cars very soon in London. Or maybe not, if Andy Burnham becomes Prime Minister, because it seems that the people around him are much more sceptical about a lot of this technological progress, and that could really be hampering for a lot of investment.
And Palantir could be taking out the NHS report overnight. Palantir using data and the large numbers of patients treated on the NHS to help us all, you know, I think, to improve our health chances.
Well, there's some really important data that comes out of Palantir in Florida, where they have reduced the number of sepsis deaths by 67% because the technology can spot early signs in a way that humans can't. Now, if we rip that out of our NHS, people will die.
The fear of private companies within the NHS, it might be something which ends up defining Andy Burnham's premiership. One thing which I thought was very odd in that interview yesterday was he said that Westminster has gone into its normal mode and is speculating about personalities, about who's going to be as Chancellor. We're not really interested in the personality of the Chancellor. We're interested in what the Chancellor is going to do with tax and spend. And, of course, that is very, very important. So, of course, we're all speculating. It'll be very different if it's Ed Miliband or Pat McFadden. That very much changes. That shows what sort of outlook, whether Andy Burnham is going to veer to the left or veer to the right.
Have we ever had a change of Prime Minister where we knew
with so little
as
scrutiny?
Little... Because the thing is, Andy Burnham has been a lot of things in the past, right? So we know what he was like as Mayor of Manchester. We know what he was like as Health Secretary before. We know what he's like as Shadow Health Secretary under Ed Miliband. But these have all been very different political ideologies that he's been pursuing.
Well, I would say Theresa May, maybe, because she didn't really fight any campaign.
But she didn't start.
But we knew she was Shadow Home Secretary.
And she was Shadow Home Secretary, she was Home Secretary. She had very senior government positions immediately before becoming Prime Minister.
And she launched her campaign. She launched her campaign a week ago, 10 years ago last week.
Yes.
And I actually recently watched her launch speech when she thought that there was a contest.
Yes.
And she made the joke about nearly new water cannon.
That's it.
But she also set out her pitch about burning injustices.
Yes.
And we did hear exactly the kind of government that she said. She also said that in the times ahead, she was less worried about deficit reduction. She more wanted to help the just about managing. We knew that sort of pitch.
Just about managing, that expression. Well, I was there for the actual launch and we walked out and then found out that her rival, Andrew Leadsom, had pulled out. It was an unbelievable moment. And then she charged back to London to be acclaimed the new Prime Minister.
Yeah.
There we
and
go.
of course, she had been Home Secretary for a number of years, so people knew
one year by then.
Oh, had she 1 year?
No, she was 6 years. She was the longest-serving Home Secretary since.
Oh, of course, yes, right.
Yeah. So people knew what she was about, whereas obviously Andy Burnham's been involved in local politics for the last 16 years.
Where he doesn't really face opposition, not in the way that Cabinet's
and he doesn't have to make decisions of national...
This is why we have the debate on our channel, of course.
Indeed. Well, Andy Burnham, you're welcome to come on.
Always.
12 o'clock
or sending your view.
Yeah, your say.
Sending your say, forgive me.
Coming up next.
Yes, the NHS will give shopping vouchers to anyone who walks more than 20 minutes a day. That means we all benefit on this panel, of course. What about their own nurses who are on their feet all day?
Good point. Well, this is Britain's Newsroom on GB News.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. A wet afternoon for more northwestern areas, dry and sunny though further south and east. It's going to be quite warm over the weekend across many areas of the UK as well. That's because we've got the Azores high developing, building in from the south and west. But we still do have a series of weather fronts pushing up to more northwestern areas. So parts of Northern Ireland seeing quite a lot of rain through this afternoon and parts of western Scotland. At first it's going to be relatively light, but it will turn a little bit heavier throughout this evening and overnight. Elsewhere, it should be a dry day, a bit more in the way of cloud as you look further north across parts of northern England. But for Wales, central southern England, it's going to be a warm and sunny day. Highs of 27 degrees in London, in the low 20s for many other southern and central areas. Now, the wind's starting to pick up across parts of northwest Scotland through this evening once again after a bit of a calmer day today. So a bit of a windy night to come. The rain starts to turn a little bit heavier, particularly over the high ground and coastal areas, southwestern mountains of Scotland seeing some heavy rain, as well as the northwest Highlands. Clearer skies further south, so a pretty fine end to the working week across parts of Wales and England. A little bit more in the way of cloud just across more coastal areas in the west, but I think for most of us it's going to be a pretty clear night across central southern areas. You can see that rain becoming a little bit more persistent, pushing into elsewhere across Scotland, into more eastern areas through the early hours of Saturday. So a lot of cloud around, some quite brisk winds as well across the northwest. A little bit of rain possible across the high ground and coastal areas in southwestern areas, parts of West Wales, southwestern England through Saturday morning. I think that will be short-lived, but you could see further spells of wet weather across the Pennines, coastal areas across parts of northwestern England, as well as Northern Ireland and much of Scotland through the day, particularly across more western areas where it's going to be quite a windy afternoon. Elsewhere, though, very warm with highs of 28.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday Five.
You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah.
Uncensored.
Very, very, very easy tonight on the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
The Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's tonight, late edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
After 11:40, this is Britain's Newsroom with Christopher Hope and Miriam Cates.
Well, the NHS is backing a new scheme in a bid to get Britain moving. Movement 26.2 campaign is set to launch in January and aims to encourage millions of Britons to achieve daily walking targets.
For how to encourage them, health officials are partnering with retailers to reward people who walk 20 minutes a day with shopping vouchers and discounts. With us now is GB News' political correspondent Olivia Utley in the studio. Before we ask about who isn't walking 20 minutes a day, who are the shops offering the vouchers? Is it fast food outlets and inappropriate shops if you want to lose weight?
Well, that's a very good question. We don't yet know. This isn't an NHS scheme exactly. It's a scheme, the dream child of Brendan Foster, who's an Olympian, and he thinks this is a good idea, and the NHS has essentially backed it. They're trying to partner up with retailers at the moment. To me, the worry is that the country is essentially split between people. We were just having a little chat about it before this. We all live in London. We all have to walk to get anywhere. I don't own a car. I can't even drive. And it seems absolutely bizarre not to walk 20 minutes a day. Then there are people who live very, very rurally, who have to drive to get anywhere. And to them, walking 20 minutes a day seems absurd. To us, it seems absurd that anyone doesn't do that. And I think what could end up happening is that you get the people who are walking many, many hours a day thinking, great, free vouchers and signing up to the scheme, while the people who don't won't be touched by it at all. So it's a nice idea, and I like the ambition of Brendan Foster, but I wonder if it's sensible for the NHS to be backing this.
This could kind of work if in a kind of private capacity. So there are life insurance companies who give their clients free coffees, for example, if they do keep their step count up, if they do keep their weight down, because obviously you're at much lower risk to your life insurance company if you keep fit and healthy. So I can see that working in a commercial setting. But the point of the NHS is it's free at the point of use. We all pay for everybody's treatment, whether or not they look after themselves or not. It's a completely different system, isn't it?
Well, absolutely. And again, I mean, these insurance schemes are based on something which you have to have. You know, you have to have insurance on your car, etc. Yeah. Whereas this is sort of an optional thing, and the risk is that it just isn't going to touch those people who aren't walking for 20 minutes a day. Obviously, the price of obesity and inactivity in the NHS is absolutely huge. But Miriam, as you suggest, if you start getting into, well, you know, say it's the cost of smoking, say it's the cost of alcohol, etc., sugar consumption. There's all sorts of ways that you could punitively behave.
And you even get into sport. Lots of people who play football break their legs, but we want people to play football because it's good for you. It's just sometimes it costs the NHS money. It's very difficult.
How far do you think you can walk in 20 minutes? I'm just searching on AI. They say here you walk a mile in 20 minutes.
Easily,
So is that worth a food voucher?
21-minute 5K.
That's very good, Olivia. Yeah, I mean, the average person normal walking pace is about 3.5 miles an hour, I think, isn't it? Normal walking around town.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can see why they're doing it, just to try and get people out and about, but it feels wrong to reward you for doing what we should be doing anyway.
There's a scheme in, I think perhaps it's Russia. I mean, it sounds like a brilliant idea, quite fun. If you do 100 star jumps at the ticket barrier, then you get free entrance onto the tube.
Gosh.
Wow.
Well,
We should make some of the people dodging their fares on the London Underground try that. In Japan, if you have a body mass index, BMI of more than, I think, 23, your employer has to pay more tax.
23 is not very lot. That's not a lot.
So that's why Japanese people are thin.
I think 28 is the obese measure, 29.
No, 20. Oh, yeah, no, 30. I think it's 25 to 30 is overweight and over 30 is obese.
So you're less likely to be employed if you're overweight in Japan.
Well, the sumo wrestlers...
You've got an incentive to keep your weight down.
Really sumo wrestlers must...
Maybe they have an exemption.
Olivia Utley, thank you.
Protected characteristics.
Olivia, we'll see you later on Good Afternoon Britain.
Indeed. Well, coming up next, from walking to keep fit to pubs to drinking too much. They're allowed to stay open until 5 a.m. on Monday morning for the England game, but police are worried about an increase in violence.
But first, if you want some search of some holiday sun, here's a forecast for some of our top European destinations. You're with GB Newsroom on GB News.
Britain's Newsroom.
Oh my goodness me, I'm going mad with Christopher and Miriam.
You're looking happy.
Well, the forecast looks good.
So you've sorted the travel insurance then?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Plenty of fine weather across Europe at the moment, but Greece is reasonably showery, unusual for the time of year, and a strong breeze affecting the south of Italy. Less breezy for Madeira and the Canary Islands compared with the last few days. Iberia, plenty of hot sunshine and particularly hot through Portugal, mid to high 30s, and mid 30s expected through Italy, but a keen breeze will affect the south of the country, while showers continue for southern parts of Greece.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
You've been to see Glengarry Glen Ross.
I have. So the movie was 92 and the play was 84, 85, something like David Mamet. It's all about men, or it's about men that are posturing being men. It's this idea of sort of toxic strutting, peacocking. However, the outrage, this most male of plays, has been cast with all women. Horrific. Taking away men's jobs right in front of us, Michael. It's on at the Old Vic, and we've got a cast of the ladies having a little word about it.
I think it might explode the play and open it up in really amazing ways, but we just don't know, and that is thrilling.
On first glance, you look at Glengarry and you think male, masculine world, male toxicity, but then if you strip that away and look at it from another lens, you say, no, this is about humans.
GB News, the People's Channel. Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
Joining me now is Chef Julia Walsh, who's the head of patisserie at Le Cordon Bleu. Thank you. How lovely to see you. You look marvellous in your chef's hat and your chef's jacket. Tell me about Le Cordon Bleu.
Le Cordon Bleu has been in operation for over 130 years. We had our 130-year anniversary last year. I'm from the campus in London, in Holborn, and we have a very wide-ranging curriculum with our students. I teach patisserie, so for me, I teach students to learn about things such as bakery, cakes, entremets, such as this one here, and showpieces. We do chocolate and sugar sculptures as well.
GB News, the People's Channel. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
3 lines on my shirt, never stop me dreaming.
Could this be England's biggest superfan? Benny Elcock has covered his York home in St George's flags in support of England ahead of the World Cup. 3 Lions memorabilia are draped across his windows, garden gates and flower pots. Even the family's Yorkshire Terrier, Reggie, has his own outfit.
We've done it for years. And I'll stick my Everton one up, because I'm a massive Everton fan. People just think I'm mad. Say, well, you've gone a bit mad, you've gone a bit overboard. I said, I don't care. I love it.
Football mad Benny can't wait for England's first match.
GB News, the People's Channel.
OK, it's nearly 10 to 12 on Friday. Police have expressed concerns over Sir Keir Starmer's latest decision to allow pubs to remain open until 5 a.m. for England's World Cup match against Mexico in Mexico City on Monday morning.
Well, the National Police Chiefs Council fears there could be an increase in domestic abuse due to heavy alcohol consumption.
They've urged fans to drink responsibly.
Well, we're joined now by GB News reporter Isabel Fekulak. Isabel, what are the concerns that you're hearing?
Well, good morning to you both, Chris and Miriam. There are concerns that this has come just a little bit late. So for lots of smaller independent pubs, they haven't been able to get the organisation in place, the staff ready. However, here in the Hook in Warsash, this pub will certainly be staying open until 5 a.m. As you can see, I'm joined here by Mark, the general manager. Mark, you've got an event that you've already sold out of for Sunday night.
Yes, that's correct. We actually went fully booked about 2 hours after the DR Congo game. The support we've had from the community has been amazing.
And this extension in the licensing, you can stay open until 5 a.m. Was that something you were expecting or hoping for?
I wasn't expecting it because it's come in later. A lot of places have already put in for 10s or missed out on their 10s deadlines. But it does make the whole event a lot safer because we can concentrate on a nice, slow, safe egress at the end of the game rather than pushing everybody out when the whistle goes.
And in terms of a boost for business, of course, the World Cup is a great boost for pubs anyway. Now that you can stay open for these extended hours, how much of a boost is that?
Obviously, any extra hours is brilliant. The additional revenue is obviously, it's great for the staff. It's great for the suppliers and for the local community. All the money just gets circulated back into the community.
Of course, as I said there, some pubs aren't able to stay open because this is all a bit last minute. They haven't been able to get staff ready to cover. They haven't been able to get the relative organisations in place. Do you think that that's an issue for some pubs? You were just telling me that independent pubs might struggle with this.
Yeah, it's not only that, it's supplies. Obviously, you need to plan ahead with your supplies and your staffing. And yeah, some of the independents will struggle, but hopefully they can do it.
Brilliant. I know you're looking forward to it, so I hope it's a great event. They've been hosting many events and it's been full, as so many pubs have been for the World Cup, a great boost for businesses here. Of course, as we said, there were concerns about policing as well. We do have a statement from the police in which they say that the likely route for England's progression in the tournament has been known for a considerable time, yet this late announcement leaves policing having to adapt their plans, seeing officers working extended shift, which in turn takes them away from communities. They said from a policing perspective, their priority is to support people to enjoy the match safely and responsibly. That's what will be happening here in Warsash at this pub, along with pubs all over the country that are now able to stay open until 5 a.m. on Monday morning.
Okay. Thank you, Isabel Feckler. It's been great, and all the best to you and everyone celebrating and marking Monday in Warsash. Fantastic.
Well, thanks so much for joining us this morning on Britain's Newsroom. I mean, goodness, normally, Chris, we're winding down for the summer in politics, but actually we're just about to start a new premiership.
For me, politics reinvents itself so often. I think September is immense. We've got a new Prime Minister. He'll be off to the UN General Assembly, all the party conferences, and he'll be crowned leader, Andy Burnham, on the 20th, 2 weeks on Monday. We live in a democracy, apparently, but so far...
It's a chaotic one. That's it from us. We've got Tom and Olivia up next with Good Afternoon Britain. Have a fantastic weekend and enjoy the football on Monday if you're going to...
Come on, England!
Yes, it's not slowing down. Huge questions over the government's handling of the Rochdale grooming gang leader. A foreign national released from prison. Can he be deported? Will the law be changed?
Well, meanwhile, we're all poring over that 15-minute interview that Andy Burnham did with LBC last night. What does he stand for? Who's his Chancellor going to be? All of that and much more very soon.
Expect warm